Hey y'all, it's CherokeeStarfish, and this, heaven help us, is the mystery of the Druids. I hope y'all are ready for a really bad time. I know I am. We've had a lot of fun on this channel. We've played a lot of excellent games. And you know what? It's over. It's time for that to stop. It's time for a truly dogshit game. So, I'm setting the bar as low as I possibly can without perhaps playing the original E.T. game. Means it's only up from here. Oh, and what a masterpiece it is. Listen closely, you'll hear the Tibetan throat singing of the Druids. Look at that, this random hinge covered with runes, carved with runes. Runes that I'm pretty sure are not even, like, Gallic. Those, I'm pretty sure, are Nordic runes. Oh my gosh, I would never join this cult. Ugh. This guy. The faces in this game are so fun. Of course, probably you have seen the truly iconic face on the cover art of this game. If you haven't, look it up. It's amazing. There we go. Yay! Only the chosen few are not set on fire. And look at this, these magic glowing babies.
And that's why I say you're a blockhead, Lowry. How could you let such a thing happen? The man was innocent. What do you think the press are going to say about all this? Now get out of here! Get the hell out of my sight! And if I have any more trouble with you, you'll be dishing out parking tickets before long. That's a promise, Lowry! Oh, and here's my good friend Halligan. Another one of the invaluable detectives of our glorious murder squad. Don't just stand there gaping. Come in.
These models, this voice acting. Don't you love it?
I'm glad you could make it. After all, you're a busy man, aren't you? Now look here, Detective Halligan. I've got used to being surrounded by a bunch of incompetent, half-baked blockheads. But your smart, well-dressed colleague Lowry has just earned himself the golden badge of stupidity. Halligan, we've got a bit of a problem. We've had an innocent man locked up in jail. Regrettably, he was killed in prison before we could correct our mistake. Unfortunate affair. And now we've got this lunatic killer running around all over London. We have to make sure that at least this oversight is put right. Your clear-up rate so far ought to be sufficient evidence that there's no point in asking you to clear up anything more than a common bicycle theft. But this does happen to be the murder squad. I am the chief of this department. All I have for choice is that blockhead Lowry, you.
Our protagonist, everybody.
Okay, Chief. What do you want me to do?
Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so this is the mystery of the Druids. I am already questioning my life decisions, my choices. By the end of this, you will be as well. So, a little history on this game. This was made by House of Tales, which was a German developer. The people who worked there have gone on to do other things since then because House of Tales is defunct. But you may recognize them from some other games that they made, such as The Moment of Silence or Overclocked, A History of Violence. And they also made some other stuff like 15 Days. But this was their first game. And quite honestly, I'm not 100% sure how it wasn't their last. So, well, you'll see as we go along. It is a unique game. And without going into it, I will tell you that it fights back against streaming software, against capture software, against Windows itself. In fact, it fights back a little bit against being installed. So I'm kind of proud of myself that I got it to run at all, and that I'm able to capture it. Not least of all because the opening cinematics that you just saw are a separate program. It's kind of like, remember when we played HeroQuest here on the channel? Yeah, the opening cinematic is not the same program as the game. The actual game starts here on this screen. So if you just boot it up, it cuts off right here, right? So that means that it's really actually kind of difficult to capture the opening cinematic and this. It's not great. And the adventure's not great, but we're going to have a great time with it because much like a B-movie where you can see the zippers on the monster suits, its redeeming quality is that it's enjoyable to make fun of it. So here we go. By the end of this, you're going to like our protagonist, Detective Halligan here, about as much as Chief Miller does. You'll have approximately the same opinion of him, so buckle up, and let's dive in to solving the mystery of the Druids. First things first, this is a point-and-click adventure game, of course, so we've got to talk to everybody and explore all the dialogue options. Thankfully, a lot of it's voiced, for better or for worse, so I won't have to do it.
Where did Lowry go wrong?
Your dear colleague Lowry dealt with the skeleton murders last year. You should know that, Halligan. Lowry worked on the case for several months, and finally managed to pull a culprit out of the hat. A butcher from South London. A married man with kids. They gave him a life sentence. He was in jail till 3 weeks ago.
Pulled out of the hat, you say? So the butcher didn't do it after all?
Oh, you're a genius, Halligan. He didn't do it. We found that out today.
Well, how could he be convicted if he didn't do it?
He didn't do it. How could he be convicted then?
Detective Lowry imaginatively constructed an impressive chain of evidence, and the court followed his arguments in detail. The public wanted somebody to blame, and they found somebody. That's life.
Well, all right, these things happen. But how do you know that the man Lowry arrested didn't commit the murders?
Very simple. Dead people don't go around committing more murders.
Oh, so there's been another murder.
There's been another murder.
Exactly, Halligan. A pile of bones has been found in Epping Forest. Supposedly a male corpse. We don't know any more than that. I presume we both agree that it can't have been Lowry's man, eh?
Oh, of course.
You see, I've just managed to get that into Lowry's head as well. You heard it? Lowry's off the case. Halligan, you drive out to Epping Forest and take a look at the evidence.
Of course, sir.
And Halligan, no sloppiness now. I want results. Sensible results. The press has already been terrorizing me this morning. The killer must be found. Do I make myself clear?
Of course, Chief.
Good. This is the file with all the necessary information, and now you better get going quickly.
Oh, Halligan is really into this, and you can tell that he is a great detective, too. He really put the clues together that the chief gave us there. Oh man, look at this 2001 animation. I can't help when I look at the Mystery of the Druids but think about how Still Life was made around the same time, and it was such a good game. I don't know. Well, anyway, everybody's entitled to make mistakes. Let's not make a mistake and forget this here. We're just gonna steal these matches from him, right? Because this is a point-and-click adventure game, so that means, of course, we have to take everything that's not nailed down. We must. God forbid we have to backtrack in this game. Now, does he have anything else to say?
What mad assassin are you referring to?
Halligan, it's well known that you'd rather read those crazy books of yours during office hours than taking any real interest in the affairs of this department. But it would now appear that you've even stopped reading the newspapers as well. For months now, a killer's been running around in London, taking victims apart and leaving nothing but bones for us to find. You can read about it in any newspaper.
There we go. Little background on the case that we're solving here.
You mean the business out at the Silent Inn? That was over a year ago.
There were 2 more murders later, Halligan. 3, actually.
Oh yes, there was the case by the Thames, and the business with the bones found in the north of the city.
Exactly. Lowry's suspect was seen at 2 of the 3 crime scenes. That wouldn't usually be sufficient for a summons to the police station. But Lowry and Stryker twisted the thing so badly that the poor man actually lost in court. Now he's dead. He was stabbed in prison.
Then the case seems to be closed, doesn't it?
You see, that's exactly what I wouldn't say. I got a phone call this morning. Guess what's happened?
There's been another murder.
Exactly, Halligan. A pile of bones has been found in Epping Forest.
Of course, we
Supposedly
heard
a
this
male
part.
corpse. We don't know any more than that. I presume we both agree that it can't have been Lowry's man, eh?
Oh, of course.
You see, I've just managed to get that into Lowry's head as well. You heard it? Lowry's off the case. Halligan, you drive out to Epping Forest and take a look at the evidence.
Of course, sir.
And Halligan,
No sloppiness now.
I want results.
Sensible results.
The press has already been terrorizing me this morning. The killer must be found. Do I make myself clear?
Of course, Chief.
So that's about all the chief has for us right now. So here we go, the chief's office. Now, because this is actually a bad game, and one that I don't really enjoy playing that much, we're here to make fun of it rather than to like actually explore the game. So I have played it before, if you can't tell. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on the whole game. We're gonna kind of, not quite speed run it, but we're going to solve the case as quickly as possible. I want to click on a few things that'll give you some more context, and we definitely want to show off some of the worst parts of the game so that we can have the most possible fun with it. But other than that, I do know how this game is played. This is not a blind playthrough. And that is important because, as you may have experienced yourself, if you've ever played a point-and-click adventure game, some of the puzzles include a little bit of moon logic. So if you had that on your bingo card, go ahead and check it off. That's your free space for tonight.
I don't need a map. I know my way around London. Anyway, it belongs to the Chief.
What do you think about our protagonists so far?
I'd better not. These files are secret.
Oh, they're secret. They're so secret that the game's not sure they exist. I'm clipping through them. Ooh, look at all these suspects. I'm pretty sure that most of these are probably pictures of the devs. And you can see how the cursor changes when you go to interact with something. But none of these, when you click on them, actually do anything. So all right, out we go into the police station. Yeah, look at that. Let me see how close I can get him to the camera for you. Come on, face the... There you go. A good That flickering movement. A good look at our protagonist. You will grow to hate him. Now let's see. We need to go to our office, which is this one right here, I believe. Now you can tell because I'm not sure how he has an office. I guess he's a detective at Scotland Yard. That should say something for him, presumably. But mostly what this says about him is exactly all the things that you would think.
The cleaner will empty the ashtray.
There you go. That's the kind of person our boy is.
Unfortunately, there's no pizza in there anymore.
Pizza. Do people actually say it that way? In Great Britain, do you say pizza as opposed to pizza?
I won't find anything I could make use of now in there. I won't find anything I could make use of now in there. I won't find anything I could make use of now in there.
Yeah, you won't find anything you could make use of now anywhere. Anywhere in this office. Oh, look at this. Crop circles, open skies, closed minds. You can stop smoking. Apparently he can't.
Good to know that there are intelligent life forms out there. In here, I only meet weirdos like Detective Lowry.
So, nobody has a high opinion
We'll
of
see if
him.
that's true.
He doesn't have a high opinion of his co-workers.
I can find my way without a map. I know my way around well enough.
This voice actor, this is like every line is delivered exactly the same with the same lack of interest. You talk about phoning it in. I love it. No messages. Got some paper clips. An old coffee cup. The cleaners will probably take care of that. Let's see. Here we go. We need to open these drawers.
Is there anything worse than thirst? I'll take it with me.
Now you can see how
I'll take it with me.
close.
Maybe I'll give it back to Miss Browning today. I'm determined to give up smoking. Leave those alone.
You can see how close these are, right? So each of these is a separate interaction point. They're all stacked on top of each other, which means that it would be really easy to miss something design-wise as you're going through here and combing around looking for stuff.
Leave them. I don't need those anymore. Nope, no darts now. Maybe I'll play later. Against my favorite opponent, Inspector Miller.
There we go. We need that thing. Got some
I've
gloves.
already taken one this morning.
I think that's an old sock. Alright, so our inventory's down here at the bottom of the screen. We got gloves.
That won't help either. My gloves. I nicked them out of the exhibit room.
There we go. He stole these gloves. They were somebody else's.
A roll of plastic bags to secure evidence.
Evidence bags. We will need those when we go to a crime scene.
The green scarf. It's Janet's. A bottle of apple juice. A matchbox. Still half full. My case file.
Go ahead and save this. Don't you love this this menu? Look here. And my game capture is not picking this up, which is probably a good thing, but when you hit save, it actually brings up, I'm kind of tracing around it, a window, like Windows 95 style, that has the file folder, and you have to type in a name for your save file and hit save there. It's not part of the game interface. You save through Windows. Right, let's get out of here.
I won't find anything I could make use of.
All right, Alright, so of course we can explore the whole police station. We got the elevator over here. This is Lowry's office. Check this out. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole game. I don't know what the chief's talking about. Detective Lowry seems amazing to me.
Hello, Lowry.
Oh no, not you, Halligan. You're all I need at the moment.
Have you got a couple of minutes, Lowry? I'd like to talk to you about a couple of things concerning the last skeleton murder.
I really don't feel like chatting right now. Least of all with you, Halligan. Read the file, it's all in there.
It's taking all of my concentration just to hold myself up with my calves alone like this. That would be a good band name, actually.
I didn't see any inquiry results from the information department in your file. Is that right?
Of course, thanks to these bloody new security regulations, which were introduced thanks to you, Halligan. If you hadn't gone and put an arrest warrant for Prince Charles in the computer after Princess Di's accident, we wouldn't be in this mess.
That was just an innocent joke.
Innocent, yeah. In this department, nothing can be done without forms these days. You can't even get a pencil sharpener without written authorization. By the time you got the bloody forms filled in, they're out of date.
You can see that most of the captions up there match the spoken dialogue, but a lot of them do not. Also, Halligan doesn't even move his mouth when he speaks a lot.
And that's why you sent an innocent man to prison?
Innocent? That's what you say. The jury found him guilty. What more do you want?
You do have some funny ideas about justice, Detective Lowry.
Stop all this sloppy sentimentality, will you, Halligan? Why should all these criminal scum be fed from our taxes? He got what he deserved. The state's got more than enough on its hands forking out for idiots like you.
Yes, exactly. And of course, there's no way to know which came first. It's a chicken and egg problem. Like, did the subtitles get written first, or were the lines recorded first? All we know is that they don't match up. There's probably some explanation, but
Okay. I'll talk
we'll
to
leave
you
it
later
as
now.
another mystery of the Druids. Perhaps that's the real mystery. The perspective can be a little weird too. This is something you have to watch. Like, see, for example, to zoom into this scene so that you can interact with Lowry, you have to use the magnifying glass on him, but he's not in his chair. And then if you want to leave this scene, as with most scenes, if you are kind of scoped in like this, you have to go to the bottom of the screen, as opposed to, like, to me, I would think that walking away from the desk would be over here to, like, the left. So it's not really intuitive, but at least it's mostly consistent. So there is that. Yeah, the real mystery is, is, like I said, how was this not their first and last game? Oh, here we go, the forensics laboratory. This is a fun place.
I think Chris needs it.
Yes, he needs it, but you can comment on it. You are allowed.
I really don't want to break anything.
He won't, though. I love there's kind of this moment here, like, whenever you do a scene transition, the models kind of freeze for a second, and every time that happens, I'm worried that the game has crashed. See, like, there's just a split second before there's any movement. And again here, whenever you do that transition, and so whenever I go from screen to screen, you always tense up like, oh, is this it? Is this as far as we go? It's not Bill Nye, unfortunately. How dare you insinuate that Bill Nye would be seen in the same country as this game?
Hello, Chris.
Hi, Halligan.
Have you heard of the new skeleton murder?
Not only heard, I've already been out to where the body was found, together with the forensic squad.
And? What did you find out?
Not a lot. The killer did a neat job. No traces, no witnesses. This madman doesn't seem to be so stupid at all.
But, you want to do that line read again?
Did you examine the other cases as well, Chris?
Of course.
What do you think these people died of?
It was no natural death, if that's what you mean, Halligan.
This is one of the things that the game, I think, does exceptionally poorly. one of my pet peeves that it has is, you'll be talking, you'll be in part of a conversation, and you'll have only one dialogue option down here. So rather than just auto forwarding the conversation and just continuing it until there's a reason to give you multiple choices again, they stop after saying like one line and force you to click in order to continue the conversation.
Okay, Chris. See you later on.
You get nothing from any of these people. There's a lot of dead ends here where, like, we're going to revisit some of these places and rooms, but especially here at the beginning, there are a lot of places to go and not really very much to do. People don't give you a lot of information. There's just not a whole lot of support to be found. Not a whole lot of interesting details.
Hello, Janet.
Hello, Brent.
Janet is not into Detective Halligan.
Have you heard? The chief has handed Lowry's case over to me. The skeleton murders.
Yes, and there was no way that I could have missed the conversation between the chief and Lowry.
Have we got a file about that?
We got a file about that.
As far as I can see, you've already got the file, Brent.
See, like this. If there's only going to be one thing for you to click on, just go ahead.
What? Yes, of course I've got the file. But you know that Larry and Stryker have been working on this case. The file contains a load of ridiculous nonsense, you know that. I need the terminal.
Remember the official channels, Brent. Get the necessary forms and then we'll talk again.
Oh, well, we could yell at her. There's a lot of conversation options like this where Halligan can just be a really unpleasant person, and a lot of times, even when you're polite, he still comes across as, at the very best, boring, but quite often unpleasant anyway.
Good. See you later, then.
Take your time, Brent.
So that's Janet. Oh, actually... I have to zoom in on her before we can interact. I forgot.
Not a good idea. Think first, Brent. That won't help either.
So
It
see,
won't work like that.
this was hers, but we can't give it back to her. We can't interact with her at all. We can't show it to her. He doesn't say anything about it. He's just like, no, that's not how you solve that puzzle. So here we go. Here's our little world map. This is how we travel around from location to location. So we start at Scotland Yard. It's time to go to Epping Forest. You'll also notice too, you have to hover like right over the base of the pin, and some of these are pretty close together. So you've got to go right here. If you hover over like the name, it doesn't do anything. Well, here we are. That was a great transition, just instantaneous. No travel, no nothing. And I love this film crew back here in the back, that they're just like a video file that's part of the background. And all of this is one scene.
Good morning, officer.
Good morning, Detective. I hope you've had a good breakfast. The sight over there is not very appetizing.
Well, when were the bones discovered? Let's start there.
Oh, well, you know, I've got used to it. When were the bones discovered?
At 5:30 a.m. by a jogger. He phoned us.
5:30 a.m. He was out and about quite early this morning.
Indeed, sir. And half an hour later, the press arrived.
How did the press find out about this so early, officer? Did you call them by any chance?
No idea, sir. These vultures seem to have a sixth sense for crime. It's either that or somebody from your police station tipped them off.
Were there any onlookers?
Yes, a couple, but I sent them away. The real run will start after people finish work, when they've got the time. We've seen it before.
Well, hold the fort, officer.
Yes, sir. I'll have to do that.
Oh, and that was it.
Okay, officer, that was it. Thank you.
Anytime, sir.
can't go back and talk about any of those other conversation options. I think I'm going to adjust the music down just a little bit. Oh, here's another thing, by the way. You can't drag these sliders. Wherever you click on the bar, it just jumps to that. So there we go.
Good morning,
How do you
officer.
like it so
Good
far?
morning, Detective. I hope you've had a good breakfast. The sight over there is not very appetizing.
All right. Have you interviewed any witnesses yet? This is something else, like, you have to keep talking to people again and again to go back and explore other conversation options. You can't loop back to choose stuff that you have not chosen yet.
I suppose that's part of our job. Have you interviewed any witnesses yet?
Witnesses, sir? There are no witnesses. There was nobody in the park.
Was there really nobody? Not even a tramp?
No, sorry. Just a totally distraught jogger who called us.
All right, now we already talked about this, so...
Okay, officer, that was it. Thank you.
Anytime.
Good morning, officer.
Good.
Has the forensic squad already been here?
I know, officer. I can imagine a better sight as well.
Hey, Trance.
Has the forensic squad already been here?
Yes, just this morning, after the phone call.
Yes, you're just in time to be part of this disaster. What do you think, officer? What happened here?
What do you think, officer? What
Let's
happened
ask
here?
him.
Well, if you ask me, this is the same handwriting as in the other cases we've dealt with in the last months. This is the third crime scene of this kind I've seen, and every time it's the same pattern. A pile of bones, nicely cleaned, no traces, nothing.
You know the other cases?
Of course. The newspapers are full of them. Didn't your department deal with them?
Okay, officer, that was it. Thank you.
Anytime.
So see, over and over again, you have to click back in and keep
Good morning,
talking to
officer.
them if you want to explore all of the dialogue options.
Yes.
Like, are there any useful traces?
Are there any useful traces?
Hardly any traces at all, sir. No blood, no fingerprints, nothing. I don't want to judge the case prematurely, but I don't believe you'll find anything more here, sir. Detective Hecker and his people have done a thorough job.
We'll see.
Yeah, at least it is voice. Thankfully, I don't have to read all of this. That's one of the few redeeming qualities that it has.
No blood. Looks like the murder wasn't actually committed here, then.
Either that or somebody cleaned the place up very carefully, yes.
Yeah, right.
That would match the recent cases as well, if I may say so, sir.
Okay, officer.
Anytime.
Alright, that's about all we're gonna get. Yeah, the voice acting is really inconsistent. There are some people like this officer who are fairly good, and there are other people like Halligan who are really just phoning it in, and they're kind of all over the place. Alright. Here's our gore. Right? Can y'all stand it? Do your stomachs turn at the sight of this gruesome crime scene? There may be other murders. Can you take it? Let's get a closer look. Oh, they said the bones were cleaned up. That there was no blood, no nothing. They lied. And once again, you'll see, like, the cursor changes to where it looks like you can interact with stuff, right? But for the most part, you can't. There. We're going to get the evidence that we need, at least. See, sometimes the game is inconsistent about, like, occasionally it will change to this usable cursor just on objects for some reason. Like, you're supposed to have an interaction with them and there isn't anything there. And then other times that's indicating that you need to use something from the inventory. Like, there's a puzzle to solve here. So that can leave you poking around in places like, for example, that board full of photos back at the chief's office when there's actually nothing to do. So, let's see. We have, yeah, the kneecaps down there. Here's what we need, those. This right here.
That's the bone from Epping Forest. Wrapped up just the way it should be.
Just the way it should be. Look at that. in 2 separate bags with a gap between them because this bag was not large enough to contain this object. He's such a good detective.
Some tufts of grass from the place where the bones were found. In a bag, for evidence.
Oh my god. Okay, now we can't talk to them. There's actually nothing else to do here. So we're just gonna zip back to Scotland Yard. Boop. Here we go. No transition. There's a little bit of transition this time. Him running up there. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we have evidence, of course. That means we need to go to the forensics laboratory.
I've just come back from the place where they found the bones in Epping Forest.
And? Trailblazing new findings?
I've got something here I'd like you to have a look at.
Show me.
So now we have our first sort of like actual
Here you go, Chris. Have a look at this.
point and click adventure
Oh.
interaction.
Very likely the right thigh bone. Why are you bringing it here? I had a look at the bones with the forensics squad this morning.
I know, but I've still got a couple of questions about them.
Well, go ahead then.
Did somebody maybe scorch the flesh? Ah, an interesting question to ask.
Did somebody maybe scorch the flesh off the bone?
No, definitely not. That would look different. I suspect that it was rather cut off, or maybe taken off with acid.
What sex was the victim?
Judging by the structure of the bones, I think it was male. I'll write that down in my report as well, but I'll tell you right now that you won't get it before the end of the week, Halligan.
You can't tell me more than that about the bones? Chris, that doesn't help me.
There's really no more to say about the bones, Halligan. Just wait for my report. You'll have it all nicely written down then. Or, hang on a moment. If you're really interested, go and see Professor Turner. He was the supervisor of a friend's PhD thesis. That's how I met him. He works in an anthropological museum in Oxford. If anybody can say anything about the bones, he can.
Okay, thanks for the advice.
Don't mention it, Brent.
Now we've got to show him.
That's the bone. No way.
Oops. There we go. So, to pick something up, you gotta left click on it. If you right click on it, he examines it, right? And then you have to right click outside of the inventory window to get rid of it.
Chris, I've got something else for you. Could you have a quick look at that too?
The weed. Also from the place where the bones were found, I suppose.
Yes, examine the weed.
Okay, Brent. And what do you want to know about it?
Take a look at this weed. Please tell me about the weed from the crime scene.
Have you seen something like this before?
You mean, have I seen grass before? Are you trying to pull my leg?
Just smell it.
Have another look.
Slight burning traces. Where'd you get it from?
The bones were lying on this grass.
Oh, maybe somebody made a fire on the grass before the bones were lying there. That's not very unusual in parks.
Someone built a fire on the grass, on the ground. That just happens in parks.
That was no fireplace, Chris. The grass was burnt under the bones and just there.
Well then, maybe the bones got hot.
Can bones get that hot in the sun?
Well, I don't think this is very likely in autumn. But right now, I can't say much more about that either.
You know, maybe the bones just got really hot and that burnt the grass, you know, from the sun.
Okay, Chris. See you later on.
But then again, maybe not, because it's autumn. Okay, so all we needed from him is for him to suggest that we should see Dr. Turner. If you double click, he does run towards the objective. So here we go. The Museum of Oxford is now available. Let's see, it's under renovations over here. We got birds. cannot interact with the birds, however.
I'd like to sit on this bench here all day, but I don't have the time.
We do not have the time. I don't want to spend more time with this than I have to. Let's go.
Locked.
It's locked.
Closed due to renovation works. Great. And now?
Gasp. There we go. For once, the exit is like kind of off to the corner. Look at this run cycle. I love it. I love these animations. Oh, we have fun. Okay. Need to make a call. Oh my goodness gracious. Ghost phone. No dial tone. So, this, this is where the game, like, it does not take long for this game to go from just kind of a bad game to, like, you're about to see not only some terrible puzzle design, but also just how shitty of a person Detective Halligan is, okay? So, here is one of our moon logic puzzles, right? Public phones take money. We've got to go get some cash somewhere. Where do you think that we'll get that cash? You think we, that's a pretty standard point-and-click adventure game sort of puzzle, right? That we need to find coins, even though we have a wallet. But we only have bills, or we're only carrying plastic, and we need a dime, or, whatever, something specific. Okay, fine. The game gives you some excuse why you would need that kind of stuff. So follow with me here. Let's explore around. Gotta talk to everybody, of course.
Hello, my friend.
Huh?
What are you doing here?
Are you blind? I'm having a drink.
Why do you drink so much?
Because I'm thirsty. Very thirsty.
Do you still like the taste?
Of course I like it. Dum-dum.
It smells pretty strong, if I may say so. How do you manage to drink that?
I drink everything, mate. From schnapps to aftershave. Most important thing is that it makes you happy.
You don't look too happy, though.
Can I have a drop?
Okay, I must be off now.
Well then. Okay.
Well, it just says also, like, okay, I must be off now.
Here. Are you crazy? That's mine. Hands off, okay?
He's got a hat in front of him with some change in it. Coins.
Hello, my friend.
Huh?
Can I help you somehow?
Help? Help? Nobody can help me.
Hey, don't despair. Everybody has a hard time now and then. Maybe I can do something for you.
Just leave it. I've lost everything. Everything. No money, no flat, no future. I'm finished. Simply finished.
Thank you all for trying your best with the floor cash. But unfortunately, that's not going to save us now. What do you need most urgently? I love this. Have you tried working?
Have you tried working?
Listen, mate. Do you want trouble? Are you from the benefit office or something like that? Bagger off, you.
Oh, I didn't want to be impolite. I'm just interested.
Bagger off, pal. You think I'm on holiday here, right?
No, of course not. I just meant...
Go on, save your breath. Bagger off.
God.
Okay, I must be off now.
Well then. Okay.
Hello.
Huh?
All right. So
Can
what
I
we
help
actually
you
have to
somehow?
do
Hey,
is...
don't despair. Maybe I can.
Just leave now. I'm.
What do you need most urgently?
You need most urgently.
What I need a drink. Hey, mightn't you have a couple of pounds for me?
There's money in your hat there. Isn't that enough for a bottle of gut rot?
Oh no, those pennies wouldn't feed a parking meter.
Why is the museum being closed?
Well, it's been refurbished. At the moment, my business is running really badly.
How much did you, make today?
Well, just a poxy 60 pence.
You're right. You won't get far on that. Have you seen anybody going into the museum?
Yeah. Just this morning, a woman. A young, pretty one.
A woman? You haven't seen a man?
Nah. Only a woman. She comes here every day. Now and again, she gives me a few pennies. I think she works in the museum.
Ah, a woman then.
So what? What's special about that? There are millions of women running about in this world.
So have you seen anybody? Yes. Who? A woman. Not a man? No, a woman. Ah, a woman then.
Okay, I'm a
Well then.
The beggar's flask. Absolutely empty.
So we're just going to take this empty flask, right? Because what he needs is a drink. So, now keep in mind, follow along with me, follow the steps here, right? We need to call someone on the phone. Someone at the museum to let us in, presumably, right? You know. We don't have any money. The drunk here, the beggar, he has money. So we're going to take that empty flask. We know he wants a drink. We are going to go all the way back to Scotland Yard. Here we are at Scotland Yard. Now, we are not going to go to our office and pick up a wallet we forgot. We're not going to, make change here at the office or something like that. We're not going to use the phone that we have on our desk that I clicked on earlier. Oh no. Oh no. Instead, we've got to come back here to the lab. So, let's see, is it this one? Which one is it?
I can't do anything with this. I can't even pronounce the name on the label right.
This one, here we go. The weird container, right? We need to get this man a drink. Look at all of these chemicals that we have access to. Methanol, ethanol, propanol. Ethanol, that's an alcohol, right? Man.
There's nothing I can do with this. There's nothing I can do with this.
There's nothing he can do with anything.
Chris surely wouldn't like that. Apart from that, who knows what's in it?
So, Halligan's telling us he's not really a chemist. Let's see if I remember this correctly.
I can't do anything with this. I can't even pronounce the name on the label right. I can't do any.
Some of this, is it here?
Far too hot to touch. If I pull that hose off, the whole of Scotland Yard will blow up. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
Do you hate your job so much that you ever just want to blow it up? Alright, so... I was thinking he was over here. Do I just have
It
to...
won't work like that. I don't want that. That doesn't work. There's nothing I...
Oh, Lord. Wait a second. I have a walkthrough pulled up in case this happened. Because I do not want to get stuck in this game. Okay, that's the whole hitbox for this. No, it's supposed to be... He comments that some stuff is dirty.
I can't do anything with this.
Lord, I can't even find the damn puzzle.
Take it with me. Take it with me. There's nothing I can do with this. Take it with me.
Let me do this.
Fingerprint powder.
So that's what's in there. Fingerprint powder. I forgot that I did not examine that for you, so that is what we took. Let's see. Maybe I need to talk to him first.
Well, Halligan, how'd you get on at the museum? What did Professor Turner say? Could he help you?
The museum is closed. It's being refurbished.
Oh, well, that's bad luck. Why don't you phone him?
So here we go. This is where if you go there and you can't figure out what to do or don't already know what to do, you come all the way back to Scotland Yard because there's nothing to do at the museum. There are no clues as to what you need to do. You can't, like, if you can't figure it out on your own, you come back here and talk to him, and he tells you to call. So, but look here. Here are excuses. My wallet has disappeared.
My wallet has disappeared. Have you seen it?
Your wallet? No, it isn't here. Was there much money in it?
No, a £20 note and some change.
Well, it isn't here anyway.
Okay, Chris, that's it for the moment.
Well, Halligan, what did...
And here's the other excuse.
It's all right for you. My phone doesn't work properly anymore.
Why don't you go to a phone booth?
So, his office phone, provided by Scotland Yard, that's on his desk, just vaguely, mysteriously, another mystery of the Druids, doesn't work properly anymore. And his wallet is missing, but you know, as a detective, he can't just use someone else's phone. He can't requisition some change to use the payphone. Could I use your phone?
Could I use your phone?
I'm not so keen on that, Halligan. I'm always in trouble with the accounts department. You know what I mean. Why don't you ask Lowry?
Lowry? You must be joking, Chris. You know how badly we get on, don't you?
Especially since this morning, right?
Exactly.
Sorry, Halligan, but I'm convinced you'll solve this problem.
God! You can't use my phone. That other guy who has a phone, he hates you. I'm convinced you'll solve this problem,
Okay, Chris.
though. It's
See you
fine. See? Yeah, right, presumably. Like, I think we've seen his Scotland Yard police officer's badge because it's on the travel screen. So, presumably he has that, but he can't find his wallet, so, like, where's his license?
Too dangerous to carry the bottle around with me. I don't even know what kind of stuff that is. Too dangerous to carry the bottle around with me. I don't even know what kind of stuff that is.
See, and look at this. Sometimes you can skip dialogue with the escape key.
Too dangerous to carry the
And
bottle around
sometimes
with me. I don't even
it
know
doesn't
what
do
kind of stuff
anything.
that
It
is.
just brings up the menu and doesn't skip the dialogue.
Too dangerous to carry the bottle around
So,
with me. I don't take it with me? Chris surely wouldn't like that. Apart from that, who knows what's in it? Take it with me? Take it with me? Take it with me? Take it.
take it.
I can't do it.
Where?
I can't do anything. I can't do anything.
See, like I said, I literally
can't. Even
can't.
pronounce the name. I can't do anything with. I can't do anything.
Literally cannot even find the damn puzzle. I've played this game before. Where is it? Oh my god. This is perfect. This looks like somebody tried to do like a haunted PS1 demo disc starring like Castiel from
I
Supernatural.
really don't want to break anything.
It's supposed to be right here.
Far too hot to touch.
It's not this, is it?
Looks like that won't work. I'd rather think about it again. Far too hot to touch.
Oh my god.
Far too hot. It won't work like that. I can't do that. It won't work like that.
Oh my god. This is awful. Okay, let me see.
Too dangerous to carry the bottle around with me. I don't even know what kind of stuff that is.
There we go. So that, see, okay, so this is, I forgot literally how bad this was. There is no prompt. He doesn't even talk about how it's dirty. He's just like, I don't even know what this is because I'm not a chemist or whatever. And you just have to use the rag on the bottles. Nothing anyone says indicates that.
Too dangerous to carry the bottle around.
So we have polished them.
Too dangerous to carry the bottle around. Take it with me? Chris surely wouldn't like
So,
that. Apart from that,
there we go. Now, having done that, having polished these bottles for some reason that didn't even visibly look dirty.
Well, Halligan, how'd you get on at the museum? What did Professor Turner say? Did he help you?
Here we go. Now we can talk to Chris and say,
something I wanted to ask you, Chris. What do those flasks contain?
Oh, you mean those on the shelves? They contain all sorts of different chemicals I need for my work. Indicator solutions, alcohol, things like that.
Alcohol, you
You've
say?
got a great job, Chris. Masses of alcohol and everything legal.
Nonsense, Halligan. Do you think we spend all day getting drunk with medical alcohol? Why don't you just try the stuff?
What will happen to me then?
You'll see. Well, how about it? Are you scared?
Sure, no problem.
And you can see this is like an animated cutscene because those are not the actual sprites. See how it's rendered differently? Because we get a camera shift.
Here, Brent, to your health. What's up? Go ahead, try it. You won't get one of these so often.
All right, here we go. Cheers.
To your health, Brent.
An interesting aroma, isn't it? Brent, aren't you feeling very well? Brent, are you sure you're okay?
God, that terrifying face.
God damn it. You could knock
Oh,
someone
uh-oh.
cold with this kind of stuff, Chris. Chris?
I see what's happened. There we go. See, this is exactly what I was talking about, right? So it's not bugging. It's not the stream sticking. That is because each of the cutscenes that the game plays are separate files, just like with the intro. They are not part of the game. The game is like paused when you go into a cutscene, and it plays that cutscene over top of the game in a separate video file. So what has happened here is because I'm using game capture on OBS, to follow along with the game. You were not able to see that cutscene. Oh my god, because it was on game capture rather than display capture. Let me... Oh man. Let me make a separate save here. Let me see, how far back was I? Oh man, that's a ways back. Okay, so what I will do is I will recapture that cutscene, and I'll splice it into the YouTube upload. For now, let me do this 1 second. So now here's what we have to do next. So now to recap, right? We were told to go to the museum to talk to the professor. The professor's not there. We find a beggar, a drunk, who says that he's thirsty. We have no indication of what we're supposed to do. We come all the way back here, and Chris tells us, why don't you try calling him? Apparently, our desk phone provided by Scotland Yard does not work. We cannot use his, we can't use Lowry's, we can't use anyone else's phone. We are told, try a payphone. Well, but our wallet is missing. We can't get any money anywhere. So, we have stolen the beggar's empty flask. We have come all the way back to Scotland Yard. We have talked Chris into letting us try a drink of his medical grade alcohol. We drank it, and apparently it knocked Detective Halligan flat on his ass with one sip, and Chris just left him there and went somewhere else. Just left him literally on the floor, didn't even put a pillow under his head. And you could see how reflective it was in that cutscene. Like, that tile's hard. So now, we're gonna go back over here to this shelf. We have to use the fingerprint powder that we picked up. To see which bottle
What we've got
Chris
here,
touched.
This is the bottle Chris took.
So we have to use that fingerprint powder to find which bottle he touched, so that we can take that bottle, rather than just ask him, because, you know, he left us when we passed out drunk in his floor. Right. Okay, so... God. Now, we're going to take this bottle of almost pure ethanol, and we're going to pour some in this flask. There we go. Now, did y'all see the cutscene properly? Hopefully it captured for you there. You can see what I mean about this game fights back against, like, being captured because it's broken up into multiple pieces. And yet multiple pieces, like, not just how the game and the cutscenes are separate programs and files, but more than that. So, anyway. We have to put the ethanol back so that Chris doesn't get mad at us. And then we need to combine it with the apple juice, which doesn't get a cutscene.
Now the flask is full, with ethanol and apple juice.
So we have just apparently made apple schnapps or something. God help us. So back to the museum. So we know how powerful this stuff is. So obviously, here's our solution.
Thank you. You're too kind.
Thank you, Trance, for the gifts. Subs. that goes some way towards soothing my pain, sure. Oh, bless you. You're too kind for this game. So now let's give our concoction here to the
I've got something
beggar.
for you. Apple schnapps from Detective Halligan's home distillery. My own brand. Would you like to have a taste?
You serious? All right, pal. I'm as dry as the bottom of a parrot's cage.
Why don't you drink it all? I don't mind. And it's a cracker, I can tell you.
Cheers, mister.
Cheers.
There we go. You can hear his snores now. The beggar drinks it, and because it is so powerful, just like it did with us, it knocks him completely out. So now we can steal his change.
There are a couple of pounds here in small change.
I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. I'm just going to let it sink in for a minute that this is how this game starts. I promise y'all I was not overselling it. Oh boy. Alright, so now of course we have money. So we can use it. Oops. Need to pick up the receiver first. Notice you don't click up here. Actually, I think there's a reason why. We need... Yes, need to pick up the directory.
Let's see if the phone number of the museum is listed in here. Museum, okay. Museum of African Studies, Museum of Ancient History. Here, Anthropological Museum. And the extension of Professor Turner? It's here. I've got it.
Yeah, that ominous music in the background is appropriate. Oh my god. Let's see if the number for the museum is in the goddamn phone book. Let's see.
What shall I pay for?
Oh my god.
Let's see if the phone number of the museum is listed.
Yes, you already found it. Oh, see, the escape key isn't working again.
Museum, okay.
It's not skipping.
Museum of African Studies, Museum of Ancient History. Here, Anthropological Museum. And the extension of Professor Turner? It's here. I've got it.
There we go. Look, that hitbox is so small. Look, right there. And I think it's because the hitbox is actually like the slot right here, and it's treating it as though the edge of the left-hand coin is where the point of the mouse arrow would be. So instead of the point where you would click your cursor being at the center of the icon, it's over here on the left.
Hello?
Hello, who's that?
Who am I speaking to?
Ahem.
This is Detective Halligan from Scotland Yard.
Scotland Yard? What can I do for you?
I need to speak to Professor Turner. Doesn't he work at the museum?
Yes, but he's away on business.
Oh god, after all of this, he's away on business.
But I really need to speak to him urgently.
Professor Turner will not be available while he's on his expedition. I'm afraid you'll have to wait.
Where has he gone to?
Kenya. It's a long expedition.
Look, miss. What was your name?
Goodbye, Mr. Halligan.
She's hung up.
There we go, and with finality. So, all of that was literally for nothing. We did all of that to accomplish nothing, because Professor Turner isn't even here. Let's go back to Scotland Yard again. That seems to fix most of our problems. Hey, Chris. What a great idea.
Well, Brent, still got a headache?
Don't ask, Chris.
Have you managed to contact Professor Turner?
Yeah, I phoned him, but he wasn't in.
Not in?
He's on an expedition. I just talked to some woman who works there.
With his extension number?
Yes, exactly.
Well, Halligan, that was probably his daughter Melanie. She works in the museum as well. My friend told me a lot about her. He used to be really keen on her.
So, Professor Turner has a daughter. Thanks, Chris. I think that'll help me.
You think so? How? How will that help us?
I really don't want to break anything.
Notice he doesn't say how it's going to help us. There is no indication of how that's useful. Let's go back. The money is still in our inventory. We must need it for something else. No, he ran that way and then ran back around.
Hello?
Hello, this is Halligan again. Please don't hang up, Miss Turner.
How do you know my name, Mr. Halligan?
Chris Hecker told me that Professor Turner's your father.
Yes, that's true.
What do you do at the museum?
I'm an anthropologist.
The same as your father.
Yes?
Miss Turner, do you think you could help me?
That depends. What's the trouble?
I found a bone that I've had examined at the lab.
A bone? A human bone?
Yes, of course. It belonged to a murder victim.
Murder?
Yes, of course.
The bone is from the body of one of the victims of the skeleton murders. I take it you've read about them?
Oh, good heavens, yes. What can I do for you?
Couldn't we discuss that inside?
Certainly. Come on over. I'll let you in.
Just as easy as that. Wow, it's almost like on the first phone call, if we had just mentioned what we needed to speak to Professor Turner about, or said why we needed to talk to him, we could have avoided all of this nonsensical bullshit. Well, not all of it. We still had to be able to call her on the phone in the first place, which means we still had to rob a drunk man after drugging him.
Mr. Halligan?
Yes, that's right. Hello, Miss Turner. Nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time.
No problem. We're closed anyway. The museum is being refurbished.
It's not easy to get in touch with you. I was close to giving up.
Oh, you mean because of the phone call? I'm really sorry. I do sometimes tend to be rather short on the phone. You know, I get unpleasant calls sometimes, and that's why I'm a bit suspicious.
I see. Well, I finally got in touch with you.
Would you like to come in? Would you like a cup of coffee or anything else?
No, thanks.
Mr. Halligan, how may I help you?
As I said, I'm working on the skeleton murders. We found another victim in Epping Forest. All the evidence points to the same culprit as in the other cases. The corpse was completely skeletonized. Professional work.
That's horrible. But how can I help you?
My colleague Chris Hecker of the Forensic Lab has already had a look at the bones. He thought that your father could perhaps carry out some additional tests. He is a renowned expert, after all.
Yes, he could do that. But as I said, my father isn't here.
I know, but it is very urgent. Perhaps you could have a look?
You say you've got some of the bones with you?
Yes, just one. Here.
This is a femur.
Yes, that's what Chris Hecker said as well.
It will take some time, Mr. Halligan. Could you wait a moment?
Same, old man. I can hear it. Yeah, I too hate that effing
I
forest.
would like to ask you some questions about your work, just out of interest.
What are all these strange things here in your laboratory? All of these stolen artifacts, raided from other cultures.
What are all these strange things here in your lab?
They're things my father and I have brought back from various expeditions. They have to be catalogued, will then become part of the permanent exhibition of our museum. Some things are personal presents. I keep those, of course.
You see quite a lot of the world, don't you?
Yes, that's part of my job.
What's your father's current research project?
He's in Kenya studying initiation rituals.
What?
The rituals carried out when the childhoods of boys and girls end and they're admitted to the circle of adults.
What's your research field?
I specialize in sacrificial rites.
Sacrificial rites? That's an unusual research field for a young woman.
You think so? I don't think you should divide preferred science fields for men or women, Mr. Halligan.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I just think that you must have to do with death all the time if you research sacrifices.
Death is part of our existence, Mr. Halligan. In all cultures, all around the world.
You're telling me. If you take it like that, we are almost like colleagues.
Maybe. But it's not my job to put people in jail. I document the sacrificial rites of different cultures in order to help create a better...
This is after I turned the music down, by the way. The audio balance in this is awful.
I approve of everything I research, Mr. Halligan. But in foreign cultures, not all sacrificial rites are regarded as murder. Most cultures sacrifice animals or plants, and they do so for religious reasons. Human sacrifices don't exist anywhere in the world at present. They're a thing of the past.
Oh, this was very interesting.
That was very interesting. Thank you, Miss Turner.
Not at all. I like talking about it. I'm often
I
alone
love talking
doing
about
the
human
work.
sacrifice.
It feels good to be able to chat, but now I'll have a look at that bone you brought.
Alright, so first things first. Let me turn the music down again. Oh, I think it reset itself when the game, yeah, I think it reset itself when I had to exit the game and come back in. There we go. Hopefully that's better. Just one more of the Mystery of the Druids' many sterling features. So now here's a wild surprise for you. Ta-da! That's right. We have a second protagonist. We are now playing as Melanie. Oh, goodness gracious. Why are we playing as Melanie? I don't know, but she has a separate inventory. Yeah, that's the only thing that I like about this, is that I'd rather play as her than him. She's much more interesting. So here we go. This is our bone shaver. See, it's called that because it shaves the bones. Y'all, if you're not out here shaving your bones, what are you even doing getting ready in the morning? So we need to shave the bone so we can get a little thin slice to put on the microscope so she can look at it. And yes, you do have to manually click. This is not click and hold or click and drag. You have to manually click in order to bring it into focus.
I can't see it properly.
There we go. I think that's it.
There's some metal residue here. It's gold.
There's gold in them thar bones. So what does that mean? That there's gold in them thar bones. Well, you have to use the bone, not the shaving, by the way, not this part that we were just examining. That's still in the microscope, probably. You have to use the bone on these weapons to figure out.
That's interesting. The notches in the bone were made by a sharp instrument. The sickle matches the notches to a T.
See, there is nothing to indicate that you need to do this. And then that is so counterintuitive. Like, you have to use the bone. It's so presumably we don't see this, but it's like she's picking up the weapons and holding them to the injuries on the bone to see which one of them matches, I guess?
Hey, didn't this edition mention something in connection with sacrificial rites in Britain?
Sacrificial rites in Britain.
Let's see. Yes, here it is. An article about the Druids and their sacrificial rites.
Aha!
The latest findings indicate that in ancient England it was probable for the most... for their high ceremonies, the Celts usually preferred to use... incredible. It all fits in with this bone.
Oh yes,
I'm
it's
sure
also
the
clear
detective
now.
will be very interested.
Didn't that clear things up for you? What do y'all think? Did that solve the mystery of the Druids? Is the mystery solved for you now?
Mr. Halligan?
Laboriously stands.
I believe I've found something interesting about your bone.
Go ahead.
In my opinion, this bone was worked on.
With a sickle?
Yes. And
She didn't even
probably
finish
with a
the
sickle
line.
made of gold.
What makes you think that?
The bone bears notches matching the cutting form of a sickle to a T. And I found a trace of gold in one of the notches.
A golden sickle? Who would use a weapon like that in order to cut a human being to pieces?
Who
That's
indeed?
what I asked myself as well. I found an interesting article which could help us. According to the historian Arthur Blake, the Britannic Druids carried out very bloody sacrificial rites. He found out that such rites took place at major celebrations of the Celts. He assumes that consecrated golden sickles were used for those rites.
And how does he know about these things?
He learned about it from old inscriptions he's translating at the moment. Interesting, huh?
Celts? Druids? Quite some time has passed since then, hasn't it?
Of course, but the descriptions in the article absolutely match the findings on your bone, Mr. Halligan. I'm sure the author of the article can help you.
Please tell me more about my bone.
What do you think? Could this Blake be right?
I don't know. Maybe he just wants to make money with horror stories about ancient Britain, but the bone you've shown me would match his theory quite well.
Have you ever seen anything similar in your career?
Oh, Mr. Halligan, you don't know the Aztec skull walls. If you'd seen those, you'd consider your bone harmless.
Maybe, but that was centuries ago. The victim of this murder was found this morning, and it was found in London.
Yeah, y'all, don't you all know about the Aztec skull walls? Y'all don't even know about the Aztec skull walls. Yeah, gold doesn't hold an edge. Imagine.
So you think this murder could be a ritual murder?
Yes, it would be possible. There are several occult sects and Satanists. They like checking their history books and adopting archaic rituals.
Oh, those Satanists. No, all the Satanists I know are ironically out here doing God's work. Oh, well.
What did you say this author's name was?
Blake. Arthur Blake.
Was there any mention in the article of how you could get in touch with the man?
I thought you'd ask that. His address was printed below the article. 366 Pinewood Road, Northampton.
I'm going there now.
Mr. Halligan, I'm interested in this, particularly because of my job. I'd like to help you with your case. Would you take me with you?
Impossible. It's confidential police work. I have to see him on my own. I'm sorry.
I'm sure my knowledge would be to your advantage, Mr. Halligan, and I think it would be really interesting to work on a case like that.
Oh, when I think about it, perhaps that's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, well, when you put it that way.
Perhaps there will be more examinations to be done. Okay, Miss Turner, let's do it like this. I'll keep you informed on the case. If I hear anything new or if I need your help, I'll contact you. What do you think?
All right. I'll see you later then.
Yeah, see you later. And thank you, Miss Turner.
Well, say goodbye to Melanie. I hope you liked her. That was it. She's gone now. And now we have Arthur Blake's address.
This must be it. Pretty out of the way.
Not only out of the way, but look at this. Fairly run down, right? God, could you imagine a romance subplot in this game?
Mr. Blake?
Yes?
My name's Brent Halligan. I'm a detective from Scotland Yard. I have a few questions I need to ask you.
Scotland Yard? What's this about? Is something wrong?
I'd rather we discuss this in private. Do you mind if I come in?
I'm not sure. What's happened? Is there a problem with one of my publications?
No, sir. I'm investigating a murder case. Perhaps you could help me? It really won't take very long.
Murder? How awful. But what's it got to do with me?
Mr. Blake, I'd really prefer it if we
I haven't
could go
murdered anyone in
somewhere a little more
ages.
private. May I come in?
Well, yes, certainly. Come on in.
Man, those hard cut transitions. Love them. Nice clock, though. And again, to talk with people, you have to zoom in on them.
You're the author of a book on Druids, am I right?
Yes, quite correct. In fact, I'm just working on a revised version for the next edition. But what makes you so interested in my book?
I'm currently investigating a series of murders in London. I've made some interesting discoveries that I'd like to discuss with you.
What series of murders are we talking about?
The skeleton murders. You may have read about them in the papers.
Oh, yes. Of course. Terrible business.
His soundtrack going nuts in the
There may be
background.
some sort of ritual behind these murders.
Well, what makes you think that?
Dr. Turner from the Anthropological Museum in Oxford examined one of the last victim's bones for me. She found residual traces of gold on it and round notches.
Round notches, you say?
Yes. Does that mean anything to you? Doesn't your book on Druids mention ritual killings for which a golden sickle was used?
True. Are you saying these murders are based on the same ritual?
That's what I've come to ask you.
But that's impossible. It can't be true. It's... My God. It would be unthinkable. It would confirm all my translations.
All at
I've been
once.
researching the history of the Druids for 30 years now.
The history of the
Never
Druids.
yet
Don't
found
get it
proof
twisted.
of my greatest fears.
Your greatest fears?
Yes, the perfection of the final ritual. The final confirmation of the Druids' power.
Oh, Lord. What's this final ritual all about?
What's this final ritual all about?
This is the text I wrote down during my travels through England and France. You know, when you travel through the country, you can feel that many locals still believe in the old Celtic customs. A group of farmers in the south of England let me copy the inscriptions on a megalith that stands in a field there. They claim that there used to be a huge Druid temple close to their house, but there's nothing left of it now. Whatever. I managed to translate the text, at least in part.
Okay, Mr. Blake, please come to the point. What does it say?
It says that the last of the Druids saw the fall of their priesthood coming in the year 1000 AD. In the confusion surrounding the final destruction of the order, a demonic superior Druid seized power, using his knowledge of Druid magic, not for the good of his people, and to honor the gods, but to submit all of mankind to his rule. In order to secure the survival of the Druids' tradition, and to complete his devilish work, he organized a final ritual, transferring the knowledge and power of the last of the Druids to 5 infants. These infants have always been referred to as the inheritors.
Go on.
The inscription says that the ritual was not entirely completed. I've not yet been able to discover why. But from what I've learned, the inheritors are strong and powerful enough to one day complete the ritual by themselves.
And all of that was written on a rock in a field by a farmhouse.
What happened to the Druids after 1000 AD?
Well, that's a good question, Mr. Halligan. Scientists are still arguing on that point. Some suspect that many Druids simply became priests in the Christian church. After all, Christian priests took over the position in society that had formerly been reserved for the Druids. They simply changed their jobs.
And secretly continued their own religion?
That's not unlikely. They certainly influenced the Christian church. That we do know. Some experts believe that the Druids' order never ceased to exist. That's where the myth surrounding the final ritual comes in. It supposedly took place 1,000 years ago.
This voice actor, I don't remember who it is. He sounds a little bit familiar. And because of that, I feel like most of the game's budget probably went to him. It was like, that's why there's so much talking in this section, is we've got this guy, we've got to use him. We've got to use the heck out of him while we have him.
Right. What have these murders got to do with the myth?
Well, that's just it, Mr. Halligan. I haven't told you the whole story
Oh
yet.
no, there's more.
Yes. The inscriptions explain that the Druids' inheritors require the life force of other people to complete the ritual.
I see. And how do they do that?
According to legend, the flesh has to be cut off the bones of living humans and to be eaten. Only then can their life force be transferred.
You mean the victims of these skeleton murders were practically eaten alive by cannibals?
By Druids. Yes.
I don't believe it.
The worst is yet to come, Mr. Halligan.
What? What could possibly be worse than that?
If such skeletons have been found in London, bearing marks of a golden sickle, it can only mean one thing. The inheritors are preparing for the perfection of their final ritual.
Which means?
The myth says, once the ritual has been completed, the world will become a place governed by evil.
Oops, too late.
Magic will be unleashed upon the world, and mankind will have but one choice: to obey or to die.
Great. And you really believe all that?
I believe it's possible. You know, Mr. Halligan, I'm not a superstitious man, but I've spent enough time studying Druidism to know that more goes on between heaven and earth than we can possibly imagine.
I quite agree.
You see, and the skeletons that have been found within the past few months fit in perfectly with the Druids' sacrificial rites. The day of the ritual's perfection is drawing near. Of that I'm certain. What we're looking at right now is just the beginning. Before we're through, more people will die, and the inheritors will soon be strong enough.
What can we do about it?
Time is running out, Mr. Halligan. You must find the inheritors and put them out of action.
Quick, get them. Well, there we go. So now you've experienced the history of the Druids.
That's an easy thing to say, but how can I?
There may be a way. During my latest research, I came across something very interesting. If the story I've heard is true, then there's a certain item that was extremely important for the ritual 1,000 years ago.
What is it?
A piece of jewelry mentioned in the old inscriptions. The Amulet of Transformation. You should try to gain possession of that amulet.
The Amulet of Transformation? What's its purpose?
I don't know, Mr. Halligan. Nobody does. All I do know is that the myth says it's important for the completion of the ritual. If you find the amulet, you may be able to prevent the ritual.
So, you know, after this one, we've seen that he's an open-minded fellow, thanks to that glimpse of those books on his shelf and that one comment by the police chief way back at the beginning, right? And so, after this one long-winded conversation about the Druids, about the history of the Druids, our protagonist is completely convinced that this must be what's going on. This is obviously the explanation behind these gruesome murders. It can't be anything else. And our expert here, what is his solution? We'll just find this piece of jewelry from over 1,000 years ago. Like, it's that easy. What does it look like? We don't know. Where is it? Who knows? Who had it last? We're not sure. Do we know anything about it at all? Not really, just that it's really important, and it is jewelry. Can you help me find it? No. But if you find it, that would be great.
How did you find out about the amulet?
My work led to the discovery of a connection between the Druids of Gaul and Britain. It seems there was a small group of British Druids who fled to France when the ritual failed.
What for?
I don't know. Maybe they wanted to save the amulet. I found out that a 13th century despotic French nobleman somehow gained possession of the amulet. I found a picture of him in an old archive.
Really? Let me see.
Are you ready? Take it in. What do you think? Don't you love this new character?
Well, he doesn't look particularly friendly. Was he a druid?
Well, he must have had something to do with the Druids, but I really can't tell you how he gained possession of the amulet. However, he is the only clue that I can possibly give you. As to the whereabouts of the amulet, I suggest that you make your way to Carmore. With any luck, you may find more clues leading to the amulet there.
Yes, you, a detective on a murder case, and not an expert in history or anthropology or ancient religions or any of that stuff, go to another country and see if you can pick up the trail of this ancient lost artifact from 800 years ago. It was right here 800 years ago, I swear. I swear it was.
All right, Mr. Blake. I'll get going immediately.
Take care of yourself, Mr. Halligan. Good luck.
And that's that. That's it. That's it for the history of the Druids. Instead of walking down the stairs, he goes all the way around that way. There we go. Was that enlightening? Did you all enjoy that little history lesson? Time to randomly get on a boat. We have no timeline for when this is happening or how long it's taking. Ah, and suddenly we're in France. Listen to that funky French music. You can tell because of the concertina that it's France.
Hello, Captain.
Bonjour.
When are you leaving for Portsmouth?
In 2 hours. Are you coming?
No, I think I'll stay here for a bit.
Very well.
Hello, Captain.
Bonjour.
Do you know the castle of Carmore? I say.
I might.
Well, do you know the castle or don't you? You're not being very talkative.
No.
Oh, well, thanks for the conversation.
You're welcome.
There we go. Aren't the characters in this game just so stimulating? Maybe this fellow will be more talkative.
Good day to you, monsieur.
Shush, shush, shush. Silence.
I like your fishing rod. It's a beauty.
Yes, nice, isn't it? It's an enhanced fiberglass telescope, ultralight 47. The latest model.
What are you planning to catch?
You may not believe me, but I've caught all kinds of things here. You know, I've caught pike 5 meters long, with eyes like plates and razor-sharp teeth. That's why I bought this rod. The last one was pulled clean out of my hands by one of those beasts.
You expect me to believe that?
Of course. It's the truth. I swear it. I even had some photos of one of those fish. But I'm afraid I lost them. They fell into the water. Right here.
And now there's not a shred of evidence to support your story. That is a pity.
Don't you believe me? Ask Capitaine Deneuve. He will confirm it. I often show him the fish that I catch.
Capitaine Deneuve? Who's that?
Oh, you don't know him? He captains the ferry that brought you here. He's over there, on board. He's experienced a lot and has been all over the place. He knows a lot of stories. Incredible stories.
Oh? Like what, for example?
You'll have to ask him that yourself. I never really listen properly when he starts spinning his yarns. He's bound to
Looks into camera.
You just have to know how to deal with him.
How to deal with him? What do you mean?
Not so loud, please.
Because of the fish?
No, because of Capitaine Deneuve. He might hear us.
And?
Look, I'll tell you something. Deneuve's a bit strange. He insists on being addressed by his title. It's how do you call it? A peculiarity of his.
Oh? Why is that?
He's an old sea dog from a real old seafaring family. Some ancestor of his served in Napoleon's fleet. He himself used to go out to sea doing the real thing. Got a master's certificate and all that. Seen the world, so he says. These days he just captains the ferry. But he still insists on people using his title. He says his rank should still command people's respect.
Oh, well, if that's all, I don't mind. What do I have to call him, then?
Monsieur le Capitaine Charles Deneuve. That's his full title. He'll appreciate that.
Got it. Thanks for the hint. I have to go. Good luck with your fishing.
Thank you, thank you.
Turn the voices up a little bit, too. And actually, it's been a while. There we go. See, that's what I was talking about. You couldn't see it earlier because I had game capture on instead of display capture. But see, look at this. This is how we save. Amazing.
Excuse me?
What?
You're Monsieur le Capitaine Charles Deneuve, aren't you?
Yes, that is correct, my boy. Charles Deneuve, Capitaine of the Merchant Navy of France. How do you know my name?
I've been talking to a friend of yours.
I sure as hell didn't tell you.
Over there at the jetty.
Pierre? Ah, yes, old Pierre. I expect he has been telling you about his pike, the one that was 5 meters long.
Yes, he did.
Can pike get 5 meters long? Because that would be terrifying.
Is his story true?
To be honest with you, my boy, Pierre tends to exaggerate a little, just like all fishermen. The pike was about 4.5 meters long, no more than that.
God.
Pierre says you're from Carmore, like he is. Is that true?
Yes, that's right. I grew up here. As a youngster, I wanted to be a fisherman and used to work on my father's trawler. Later, I went to naval college to become a captain of the Merchant Navy of France. I have a small house at the end of the road, just behind Francois' Bistro.
Okay.
You used to work for the Merchant Navy?
Yes. I have been to practically every single port all over the world, from New York to Zanzibar, from Rotterdam to Cape Town. I have sailed all known and unknown oceans, rivers, backwaters, lakes, and canals. I have seen things no other man on earth has ever seen.
I was alone in those boats.
Yes, but all that was a long time ago. In a few years' time, I shall retire and begin working on my memoirs.
Your memoirs? That sounds interesting.
Oh, yes, my boy. I've seen a lot.
You don't know about the unknown oceans?
Disasters, storm tides, elements, mysteries.
Really?
Ooh, mysteries? Mysteries like
I have seen
one
ships
about
disappear
druids?
in the Bermuda Triangle. I saw the Prince of Egypt sink. I witnessed the accident of the Pride of Paris in Cape Town Harbor.
You were in all those places?
Of course. And that's not all. I have seen tsunamis 40 meters high and octopuses with 16 tentacles.
I thought octopuses only had 8 tentacles.
Quite, my boy, quite. I have seen things a common landlubber, no offense, my boy, cannot even begin to imagine. Octopuses with twice the normal number of tentacles. What do you say to that?
Well, that's quite incredible. Do you know any more stories?
Of course. My logs are full of them. Take the story of Nantucket Island.
So the puzzle here is that you have to keep him talking for a long time to get him to tell you the thing that you need to know.
Is it a long story?
Like I said, I spent a number of years there.
Some other time, maybe. Thank you, Monsieur le Capitaine. You've been a great help.
You're welcome, my boy.
And he still didn't tell us about the thing.
Monsieur le Capitaine?
What can I do for you?
Lord.
I've got a few more questions concerning our last conversation.
All right. Ask me anything you like, my boy.
So,
Pierre says
you
you're
are
from
from
Carmore.
Carmore.
Yes, that's right. Later, I have...
We know this. Tell me more about Pierre.
Tell me more about Pierre.
I meet him almost every day. He doesn't have much to do these days. Not since the fishing industry went down the drain.
So he's a fisherman, is he?
He used to have 3 trawlers and 5 employees. But nobody wants French fish anymore these days. They're too expensive. Now he spends his days sitting at the jetty, catching a few fish for himself and his friends to eat. They meet round at his place practically every evening and talk about old times, when they used to go out on their trawlers every day.
How long does he sit there fishing?
Until I come back with my last load of passengers. Since he's had that fishing rod, he sometimes sits there even longer. If I have time, we go over to Francois's place when I'm finished for the day.
Doesn't he have anything better to do?
No, not much. None of the villagers here has much to do, since business is so bad nowadays. Pierre has a small farm which supplies him with all he needs. A few years back, he built himself a small stable next to his house, where he keeps a few animals. His life is rather boring, really. That's why he's always pleased when I tell him a few stories.
None of this is relevant.
Thank you, Monsieur le Capitaine. You've been a great help.
You're
You
welcome,
have not.
my
That's a
boy.
bald-faced lie.
Monsieur le Cap...
What can...
I've got a... P.S.
Yeah, later. I have...
You used...
Yeah, I...
Sound...
Yeah, but...
Ahem. Now you captain the ferry.
And now you only captain the ferry from Carmore to Portsmouth.
Yes, that's right. Is there anything wrong with that? Don't you like talking to people who only captain ferries? It's an important job. People need ferries. Because it just so happens there's a lot of water between the islands and the continent. And somebody has to steer those ferries. But I don't suppose a landlubber like you would understand that.
I didn't mean to offend you, Captain.
That's Monsieur le Capitaine Charles de Neuve to you, my boy. You'd better get a bit dry behind the ears before you start talking to seasoned sailors. Got that?
Yes, sir.
I should think so, too.
Oh, well, thanks for the conversation.
You will.
Oh my god.
Monsieur le Capitaine?
What can I do for you?
He's not saying the thing.
I've got a... P.S.
Yeah, later.
You used... Sound...
But...
Your
Memoirs.
You were... Of... I thought...
Quite...
Well...
Here we go.
What do you know about the castle of Carmore?
The castle? The castle is shrouded in greater mystery than the darkest secrets I have ever experienced or heard of.
Worse than
That's
the
saying something.
octopi with
Precisely, my
16
boy.
tentacles?
After all, I have seen and heard more than most mortals could ever dream
Including
of.
octopuses with
But none of
16
it is
tentacles.
as mysterious as the story of the castle of Carmore and its evil
Oh,
owner.
mystery. It could be a mystery of the Druids.
Tell me more about the castle.
The castle of Carmore was once the home of a good and righteous lord. Around 1000 AD, the Druids came there. You've heard of the Druids, I take it?
Oh, yes. Quite a lot, in fact. Go on.
Quite a lot, in
Where did
fact.
these Druids come from?
They were the last of the Druids from Britain.
Really?
Yes, really, my boy.
Do you know why they came to the castle?
They entrusted the Lord and his family with the safekeeping of something of great value to them.
What was it?
Nobody ever found out, my boy.
All right, what happened then?
The item remained in the family's possession for generations. But then the castle went to a descendant of the family who was not good and righteous, but cruel and mean.
So mean.
The evil lord of Carmore.
Was that what he was called?
That's what he has been called for centuries. He was a tyrant and a murderer. He enjoyed killing and held satanic ceremonies at the castle. Villagers would disappear from Carmore and never be seen again. They say he was executed during the Inquisition.
What do you mean, they say? Was he or wasn't he?
No. I know the true story. The castle was destroyed before the Inquisition ever began.
But how?
The truth was told in a very old Breton legend.
And?
One day, a salt seller by the name of Gergen came to the castle of Carmore and asked the evil lord for a drink of water. But the lord set his dogs on the man.
Go on.
Out of revenge for the lord's cruelty, Gergen hurled a handful of salt at the castle, which tumbled down immediately, burying the lord beneath it.
But why?
It was an ancient druid curse.
So you can see from this conversation just how much dialogue there is in the game that has nothing whatsoever to do with anything game related, anything that actually has to do with solving a puzzle, nothing that has to do with progressing the story, none of that. It's just stuff. It's just in there. It's like all of those rooms you can go in where nothing actually happens.
How can salt destroy a whole castle?
Through the magic of the druids. Salt is a destructive element. It corrodes, it decomposes, it parches. It can make people die of thirst.
The salt cellar had knowledge of Druid customs?
Well, he certainly knew how to use the magic that Druids employed to deal with their enemies.
How do you know all this?
From age-old stories that people tell around here. Children heard them from their parents, who in turn had been told them by their own parents. They were handed down through the generations. Sometimes, people even come here from town. People like you, asking about the old stories. Writers, researchers, all sorts. We even had a real aristocrat here from England once. He was very interested in the castle.
What did the man want?
He said he'd lost something out at the ruin. A necklace, a family heirloom. It seems to have been very important to him.
Dun,
the
dun,
five of
dun.
them spent days searching the ruins.
5?
Yes, there were 5 of them. They rented rooms above the bistro. 5 bigwigs in smart suits. One even had a uniform on.
Did they find the necklace?
No, I don't think so. They left after a couple of days.
Interesting. Do you know his name?
No, I've forgotten. It was quite a while ago.
Useless.
So the evil lord died?
Yes. He's buried in the mausoleum in the castle cemetery.
Thank you, Monsieur le Capitaine. You've been a great help.
At
You're
last,
welcome, my
finally. Finally, you've been some help. Oh my gosh, so there we go. A clue or two about the necklace. And 5 people showing up to look for it. How strange.
Excuse me, Pierre.
Yes? Now what?
I'd like to ask you something about Capitaine Deneuve.
Have you spoken to him?
Yes, I have. And you were right. He's a very strange man. Can you really believe everything he says?
Well, I'm not sure, quite honestly. He's a sailor, and they're always full of stories. 50 years at sea are a long time. Enough time to experience a great deal, and for a lot of things to become a bit muddled up in one's mind.
He certainly seems to say some strange things.
I don't think all his stories are true, but there's a core of truth in many of them. You'll have to make up your own mind which of his stories to believe.
So helpful.
Is he a friend of yours?
Friend? Well, I've seen him almost every day for a number of years. He captains the ferry, I do my fishing. When he's finished for the day, we sometimes go over to the bistro for a glass of pastis. Yes, now I come to think of it, I suppose we are friends.
And you get on well with each other? I should think it's pretty difficult being friends with a man like him.
Oh, we get on rather well, really. We don't talk much, you know. If anything, he does the talking. Spins his yarns. The only thing about him that sometimes drives me crazy is his damned cat.
The captain has a cat?
Yes. He lets her out here on the jetty in the morning and takes her back in at night. And the damned beast spends all day slinking around here.
You don't like cats?
I hate cats. They steal the fish from my bucket or get tangled up in my fishing line. Deneuve's creature has often knocked my bucket of bait over, and I've had to go and get some more. I've told him hundreds of times to take the animal on the ferry with him, but he just won't do it.
Well.
Okay. Thank you for your assistance.
No problem. You're welcome.
So this next part can be kind of annoying. Oops. Let's see. We have... She's not here yet.
Excuse me, Pierre.
Yes? Now what?
I'd like to ask you something about Capitaine Deneuve.
Have you...
Yes.
Let's see.
Can you...
Well, you'll have...
Let's see, friend, we talked about this.
Yes, you don't... I've told...
I have to go. Good luck with your fishing.
Thank you, thank you.
The whole town is like this one screen for the most part. Is it? See, now we're in France. But... oh, Lord.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Talking to him is supposed to...
I'd like to... Yeah.
spawn the cat, actually.
Well, you'll...
Oops.
Is he a friend?
Yes.
You...
If anything, the only...
The cap...
Yes.
You don't...
I've told...
Right.
I'd like to...
What would you like to know?
Are there many...
When it is quiet enough, then I catch quite a few, so please speak quietly.
Why? Do fish have such good ears?
You bet. A single murmur and I'll have to sit here for an hour longer waiting for them.
Why are you fishing right here?
The ship's propellers whirl up a lot of plankton, which attracts the fish. Once the ferry has settled, I can often get a good catch.
Isn't this rather a noisy place for the fish?
Nah. The only time it's noisy is when the ferry's in. Other than that, it's really quiet. Unless, of course, people come up and bother me with too many questions, my friend.
My friend instead of mon ami.
What do you do with the fish?
Well, what do you think? I throw the little ones back in, and the big ones get eaten.
You eat these fish?
Of course. Why not?
Well, this water looks pretty murky to me.
No. This water is clean, and the fish are first class. Carmore used to be famous for its fishing industry, you know.
But they didn't fish with rods, did they?
Certainly not. There used to be a whole fleet of trawlers. But practically all the fishing businesses around here were forced to close down a while back.
I like your fishing rod.
Yes, no.
I like your fishing rod. Do you mind if I hold it?
Could you give me one of your fish?
On a normal day I would, but I just haven't been able to catch enough today.
How many fish have you caught?
Not a single one, my friend.
That's not a lot.
Yeah, precisely. I must try to catch some now, otherwise I will have nothing to offer this evening.
You're planning to sell the fish?
No. I have visitors coming this evening, you understand?
I see. I suppose there's nothing doing then.
Sorry. Why don't you just buy a fishing rod of your own and come and join me? Who knows? If you're nice and quiet, you may be lucky.
This completely mismatched soundtrack is incredible. And not necessarily in a good way, but...
Do you mind if I hold your fishing rod for a while?
Sorry, my friend. It was very expensive. I spent 800 francs on it, and I'm not going to let anyone else touch it.
I have to go. Good luck with your fishing.
Thank you.
oh my god, where's the cat?
I take it these drums contain fuel. Monsieur le Capitaine?
What can I do for you?
No, I've...
What?
No, if...
Oh my god. Oh, it's so awful. See, because there is so much that is completely unrelated to the game buried in these characters, and in some cases, right, you know, if this was an RPG, for example, it could be lore about the world, and even in another puzzle adventure game, maybe if it was portrayed in the right way, then like some of this would be interesting or some of this would be entertaining to sit through, but there is so much dialogue with some of these characters like Blake and Pierre and Deneuve, and buried in there somewhere is the one thing you have to click on to advance the plot, to get them to say in order to make a thing happen, and you don't know what it is you're looking for. So that results in, like, you just have to go in and click on Pierre and listen to his stories over and over and over again and click through after time until you have clicked absolutely everything in order to get something to happen, to get a thing to proc in the game that you don't even know is there, that you don't know what you're looking for, what you're searching for. See, the cat is supposed to come out, and she's supposed to walk around right here. This part is very tedious because it's a whole thing where, like, you have to hide from the cat and you don't realize this. You don't know why the cat is important. You don't know that any of this is going on. And the whole town, like I said, is this one screen. Everything takes place here. Because if you leave the screen, you go out back to the travel map. To your overworld, as it were.
Carmore, a picturesque little place. Carmore, a picturesque little place.
That is all he has to say about anything. Oh, where is that cat?
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'd like to speak to you about the castle of Carmore.
I've told you all I know about it.
Have you ever heard of the Lord of the Castle of Carmore?
Yes, of course. My parents used to tell me about him in order to scare me when I wouldn't go to bed. For the children of Carmore, the Lord was a kind of bogeyman, you know. Our parents used to tell us horror stories about him.
What did they say?
That villagers used to vanish, that the Lord would catch and kill little children. They told me, Pierre, sleep now, or the Lord will come and get you. I remember it as if it had been yesterday.
Sleep now, or the Lord will come and get you. That sounds a lot like If I Die Before I Wake.
What did people believe would happen if the Lord came to get you?
You'd be killed and fed to the Lord's hounds. At least, that's what my parents told me.
That's not much of a bedtime story to tell a small boy.
True, but it worked. We kept away from the castle after dark, believe me.
Was the Lord such an evil character then?
Oh, yes. So I've heard. They say he murdered his entire family, not to mention half the household. He was a madman, but I don't remember many details of the old stories.
Have you ever been to the castle as an adult?
Yes, a couple of times. We needed stones for our new stable, but I don't mind telling you, I wasn't too happy out there.
What do you know about...
Not much. It's supposed to have belonged to a rich family around here many centuries ago. As a child, I used to play in the ruins with my friends, but it's not really safe to go walking around in the rubble.
Why is that?
It's in danger of collapsing, my friend. Anyway, it's pretty creepy out there, especially in the cemetery. There's not much left of the castle nowadays. Local farmers use the ruin as a quarry when they need stones for their houses. There's just a few bits of rubble left, that's all.
Fair enough, old man. This is the most realistic thing about this so far.
I have to go.
Thank you.
I think we have talked to him about everything. We have exhausted every option as far as I can tell. Oh my gosh.
Excuse me.
Yes?
I think when I was trying to set the game up and get it working, I remember reading something about this. A lot of people run into a very specific glitch where the cat does not spawn. So I'm going to have to go figure out what's wrong and try to get the cat to spawn. But that's okay. I think that this is as good a place to stop as any. So that's what we're going to call it. You've sat through the history of the Druids. The mystery of the Druids will continue next Thursday, for better or worse, at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is New York and Miami time here in the U.S. And it's really not a very long game when you just, like, in terms of just solving the puzzles. There really isn't a lot to it. Most of the game's content. Yeah, anytime's a good time to stop, old man. anytime before you start, it's a good time to stop. If you're thinking of playing this game, don't. I'm suffering so that you don't have to. Yeah, most of the game's content is in this useless fluff where you can wander around and look at things, and you talk to people, and they have an enormous amount of dialogue that has nothing to do with the mystery that you're solving, that isn't useful, doesn't give you any clues or anything. And like I said, you have to sift through all of that and listen to all of it and click on all these dialogue options in order to progress the game for some reason. It's a slog. It's just awful. But hopefully you had fun with how bad it was today, because I'm enjoying... I was going to say sharing it with you, but really it's more like inflicting it, isn't it? I suppose. But you're here of your own free will, whether you're watching now on Twitch or whether you're watching on YouTube after I upload this, because unfortunately there's going to be a second part. There may only be 2 parts, I hope. We may finish it next time. At most, there'll probably be 3. So it'll be a very short series. Fear not. Don't worry. It won't be too long. It will not go on forever. We will soon be free of the mystery of the Druids. So don't worry too much about that. And I will be back on Saturday with more of Jen Eric's adventures in Baldur's Gate, Siege of Dragonspear. Don't miss that one, because, speaking of things ending, that may be the last episode. I don't know for sure, but it could be the last one. Depending on the vibe, depending on how close it feels like we are to the end, I may push through and do a little bit longer stream just to get it done, because I don't want to do like a 2-hour stream, and then because it's a blind playthrough of the expansion pack, I don't know exactly where the end is, so I don't want to come back like the following Saturday and find out I only had 20 minutes left. So I may push through and try to end it. So stop by on Saturday for that, and on Monday, Specific Pixel will be back with me, and we will be playing more Paper Mario. I'm very excited because we're getting ready to go into the Koopa Brothers Fortress, and that's going to be our first real dungeon. My first real dungeon, anyway. He's played it a bunch of times, but I never have, so all of this is new to me, and I am having a great time. The following Monday, of course, Emilia will return with more Saga Frontier. We are going into Mew's Tomb in Shrike after the Victory Rune, and that is the final rune we need to get to the gift for rune magic. And then it's back to Kurong to advance the main story and get our next mission from Rufus, who just joined our party, actually. So let me know whether you want to see Rufus or our slime friend in that party when we do go into Mew's Tomb. And I will catch y'all next time. Don't forget to follow on Twitter or join our patrons over on Patreon, where you can do things like help shortlist polls, and you get to do things like choose to play games like this on the channel and inflict them on people. Or you'll get a heads up about the super awesome cool thing that's coming up on Saturday after we finish Baldur's Gate, before we start Wasteland. You get to know about that stuff in advance. I will see y'all later. Detective Halligan will return, unfortunately. And until then, as always, thanks for playing.